The golden evening light poured through the glass walls of the CEO's office, wrapping the space in a mix of warmth and authority. The woman behind the desk, sharp, confident, untouchable, adjusted her black suit as if she could tighten control over her heart too. Across from her stood the janitor, a quiet soul with tired eyes and hands that had known more work than rest. The mop in her grasp trembled slightly when their gazes met, a collision of two worlds that were never meant to touch. "Just for tonight," the CEO whispered, her voice low and steady, but trembling underneath, "pretend to be my girlfriend." For a moment, silence stretched, painted with confusion and disbelief. The city lights reflected in the janitor's eyes, cool blue blending into the warm amber of evening, like fire meeting ocean. She didn't understand why someone so powerful needed her, but something in that gaze felt honest, almost broken. Against all reason, she nodded. As they stood side by side before the grand window, pretending to be what they weren't, the line between real and make-believe blurred. The CEO's touch was careful, almost afraid to be kind, while the janitor's heart, fragile yet fierce, began to beat for something she could not name. Beneath the hum of the city and the quiet ache between them, two strangers found themselves caught in a moment too raw to fake. And though it began as a lie, it felt dangerously close to truth, the kind of truth that could ruin them both, or save them in ways neither dared to dream. The night stretched across the city like a velvet secret, dusted with stars and the soft glow of fairy lights. On the rooftop terrace, laughter mingled with the faint hum of the city below. The CEO sat poised in her silky black dress, every movement refined, every smile carefully measured. Across from her, the janitor, no longer in her faded uniform, but in a simple red gown, looked like she had stepped out of a dream. The transformation wasn't in her clothes, it was in her eyes, shimmering with disbelief and quiet wonder. They clinked glasses, pretending this was just an act, a business arrangement, nothing more. But beneath the golden haze of lights, their hands brushed once, twice, and neither pulled away fast enough. The CEO's composed mask cracked for a heartbeat. The janitor's shy laughter filled the air like music. The city lights behind them flickered, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Between bites of dessert and stolen glances, something tender began to bloom. Words stumbled out, awkward compliments, shared jokes, and the space between them softened. The CEO found herself watching the way the red fabric caught the light, how it mirrored the warmth she tried to hide. And the janitor, heart racing, wondered if this night could last forever. For a brief, golden moment, they weren't pretending anymore. They were two souls suspended in the glow of possibility, wrapped in pink and gold light, laughter echoing under the stars. The world around them blurred into bouquet sparkles, and all that remained was the soft rhythm of hearts learning to believe in something they shouldn't. A fake date, perhaps, but the feelings? Unmistakably real. Rain poured relentlessly, drumming against the glass walls of the office like an orchestra of chaos. The janitor stood by the door, drenched and trembling, clutching the mop handle as if it were her only anchor. Her soaked uniform clung to her skin, her breath visible in the cold night air. The CEO stepped out, her heels splashing against puddles that mirrored the city lights in hues of blue and violet. Their eyes met, a collision of worlds never meant to cross. For a heartbeat, silence drowned the storm. Then, anger flickered in the CEO's gaze, a spark born from confusion, desire, and something she couldn't name. She grabbed the janitor by the collar, rainwater dripping from her hair like liquid silver, and before a word could be spoken, her lips crashed against hers. It wasn't gentle, It was desperate, messy, real. The neon lights outside painted their faces in streaks of purple and silver, blurring the line between dominance and surrender. The janitor froze at first, her heart pounding louder than the rain, her hands trembling as she dared to touch the woman she'd only admired from afar. Then she kissed her back, slow, searching, terrified. In that moment, the world disappeared. There were no titles, no rules, no lines left to respect. Just two souls colliding beneath a storm they could no longer fight. When they finally pulled apart, the CEO's breath trembled, her eyes wide with realization. The janitor looked down, lips parted, tears lost in the rain. Everything had changed, and yet, in the silver shimmer of that night, it felt like everything had finally begun. The office was silent except for the soft hum of the city outside. Papers lay scattered across the floor, the aftermath of chaos, or maybe the reflection of what both of them felt inside. The CEO stood close, her usual confidence stripped away, replaced by trembling breath and misted eyes. She reached out, fingers brushing against the janitor's cheek, tracing the line where a single tear had fallen. Under the warm, fragile glow of the desk lamp, the world shrank to just the two of them, no titles, no boundaries, no lies left to hide behind. I told myself this was just an act, the CEO whispered, voice breaking like fragile glass. That pretending would be easy, that I could control it. She paused, swallowing the ache that had lived in her chest for too long. But every time he looked at me, it felt real. The janitor's lips trembled. She had dreamed of this moment and feared it all the same. And now, she asked softly. Now, the CEO's voice caught. I can't pretend anymore. The janitor exhaled, a shaky smile flickering through her tears. Neither can I. In that heartbeat, the walls of power and position melted away. There was only warmth, the kind that doesn't need words to exist. She leaned into the CEO's hand, feeling the pulse of something raw and beautiful beneath her skin. The air between them glowed with the quiet honesty they'd both been denying. Outside, dawn was still hours away, but in that dimly lit office, love had already begun to rise, soft, defiant, and impossibly real. The early morning sunlight spills gently through the office blinds, painting the room in delicate shades of peach, gold, and lavender. It's quiet, almost sacred, as if the world outside has paused to let this moment exist undisturbed. They sit side by side on the couch, wrapped together in a single blazer, finding warmth not just in the fabric, but in each other. There's no need for words here. Their silence speaks volumes. Every shared glance, every soft smile, carries the weight of the night before, a night that had been a whirlwind of emotions, confessions, and vulnerabilities laid bare. Yet now, in the calm after the storm, love feels simple, serene, and absolute. She leans slightly closer, fingers brushing against hers, not needing to ask if the feeling is mutual, because the answer is already reflected in their eyes. The blush of dawn kisses their cheeks, and the soft hum of the city outside feels like an invitation to embrace the possibilities of a new day together. In that cozy cocoon, the chaos of yesterday seems distant, irrelevant, and even meaningless. What matters is the warmth between them, the tender heartbeat that connects them in ways words could never capture. Time seems to stretch and pause, allowing them to savor the quiet intimacy, the kind that only comes when two souls recognize themselves in each other. It is a morning not just of light, but of hope, a promise that, even after the wildest nights, peace and love can find their place. Wrapped together, smiling softly, they are not just surviving the aftermath, they are beginning anew, fully and completely, in a world that has, at last, slowed down enough for them to exist just as they are. And in that moment, everything feels right.